It's the ittiest, bittiest time of the podcast. There'll be podcasts and Hawkeye and other things to talk about with our friends. It's the ittiest, bittiest time of the podcast.
Merry Monday, Chunkies. I'm Carter.
I'm Doge.
And I'm Jordan.
That one's going to be great. You're going to see, you're going to hear, you're going to feel a guy who was hitting the harmonies early and then powering through the third day after a COVID booster shot.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
The throat was doing all sorts of things, but we powered through.
I thought you were levitating. It looked like you were levitating.
we might not have won there.
Hey,
but
no. Harmony is all about confidence. You don't have to sing the right thing as long as you sing what you believe is the right thing.
Sing badly with gusto.
Yeah. Yeah. Something else I believe, here's what I believe. I believe to be the right thing is Hawkeye the show. And we're on episode 4 of it. And I'm sad that there's only 2 episodes left.
I know.
Same.
This show continues to be, I think the great thing about Hawkeye for me, I think of all the Marvel shows that are out right now, if I wanted to get somebody into Marvel, Hawkeye might be the most thoughtful package in terms of a television show. I think it doesn't require too much detective work or there's so many clues and stuff. And as much as we want to nerd out about like WandaVision and Loki and, what was that? Pause the frame. Who's that in the corner?
Sure.
The ease of Hawkeye has been one of the most enjoyable things I've watched during this holiday season and during the MCU television history continued. So we jump straight into, which is exactly what I think we projected. We're back with the sword. Jack's sword is at Clint's neck right when we start the episode. And then it immediately just jumps into them kind of sitting down and talking to Hawkeye. How did y'all feel about the beginning of episode 4?
This is the kind of episode cliffhanger that I don't super love, the like fake out cliffhanger where it's like, oh, we spent a whole week like something's about to go down. And then it's like, silly misunderstanding. Okay,
stupid. I can't believe you thought something was going to go down. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love that kind of cliffhanger.
Before we say that term again, do you think we should be a little more sensitive to Clint using the term cliffhanger?
True. That's true.
Let's call it like an oh no mix 'em up. Like I don't like that kind of end episode oh no mix 'em up.
Right.
Because then it's like, what's going to happen? And then what happens is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that it kind of forwarded, our understanding of Jack a little bit.
I thought that the there was a certain amount of weirdness to the scene of Jack and Kate's mom and Kate when Kate was like suddenly sort of cool with Jack being there. Did you guys pick that up?
Well, yeah, I think she was enjoying how happy her mom was, which I guess in turn means she was kind of
just felt like a little.
It felt reluctant to me though, which tracks.
I just think our family dynamic, like the bones of that family dynamic are there, and they have the potential to be interesting, but I don't know that the minute to minute interactions between Kate, her mom, and Jack are necessarily written very well in this show. I think I'm realizing that I think those could use a lot of work.
Sure.
Yeah, I can see that too. There were moments when we had Jack interacting with Mrs. Bishop, or I guess Mrs. Bishop if she kept the last name, that felt like they just kind of forgot their lines and were just working through it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So there wasn't awkwardness
Vera Farmiga does very much feel like she's rehearsing. Like she's going to shoot her scenes tomorrow.
Yeah. For sure. And it's like, but both of those actors too, I don't want to measure them against the charisma that is, Clint and Kate with those 2 actors. But it doesn't feel up to snuff.
Yeah. As we're talking about scenes with interactions that don't feel up to snuff, let's talk about what I think is the best scene of the show so far, which is our Christmas party, our 2-man Christmas party.
Yeah.
With Kate and Clint, I think is the best sequence of this show so far.
It's very, very, very good.
Their chemistry, man. I know we've already talked about it. It's off the charts. Haley Steinfeld is blowing me away. She is a blast.
Yeah, she's so fun.
She's really, really, really great in this.
As I was watching the interaction of the Christmas party, I was thinking, you know what, this is definitely in the running for maybe super dump or super pump of the whole series. We'll see. Usually when we do these Marvel shows, we like to do a big super duper pump and dump at the end of it because it's kind of hard with something that is clearly a piece of a 5-hour long story. But I think it's great.
The coin moment was fantastic.
Yeah. Just that whole party just felt so, I don't know. It's just so refreshing to get something light from Marvel. Because we've like the minute to minute moments in the movies have always been light. We've had some real heavy stories. And
especially recently.
Real bummer stories recently. Like we don't have to watch Vision die again in this show, which is a big win for me.
Right. I think we do get that pretty hard tonal turn at the end of this, where Kate is piecing together that Hawkeye was Ronan, and where he explains. I'm going to say something I don't think is controversial, but if it is, I guess this is my up top warning. I am kind of tired of Budapest.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
In this show or just
in general, in the MCU, the amount of times that Budapest is our shorthand for character development that we never got to see. Like Marvel has used.
Is he talking about Budapest though?
I think that's when he was sent to kill her and changed, right?
I mean, I don't remember. I thought that in Black Widow, Budapest was a job they were on together. Like they were supposed to go kill the remaining Black Widows.
Is that what that was?
Decided not to do it. Yeah.
Is that what that was? Okay, well
I
then
thought that was Budapest, right?
I guess I misunderstood then.
It felt like the story he was saying was the best shot he ever took was when he chose not to kill Natasha.
Correct.
Right. That's what he's talking about here.
For some reason, I guess my brain thought that was Budapest.
No, they worked
the amount
together.
Of times they have talked about Budapest.
They worked together in Budapest. And in Black Widow, we got the reveal of what it actually was. I just didn't enjoy that movie enough to remember what the reveal is.
That is all very fair. Maybe I guess a more respectful to the narrative way of saying what I'm trying to say here is so much of Nat and Clint's friendship is explained to us through trust us, this was crazy.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, if she had said, what's the best shot you ever took? And he said, it's the shot I didn't take. And I immediately went, oh yeah, he's talking about when he didn't kill Nat. Do you know what I mean? I just wish we didn't. And they have painted themselves into a corner with Clint, so I can't fault them for trying here. But I just wish that we had handled Clint and Nat with more dignity to the characters prior to the last 2 years.
Oh, sure. I mean, they were still kind of Joss Whedon cardboard cutouts, until we decided, oh, wait, people actually really like these guys because they were just in the background of all this stuff in the beginning. But the dialogue there is super duper expository. It does feel like they gave Kate the line, "You're talking about Natasha, right?" And that was a huge bummer. We don't need that line. Like, if you're paying attention, you know that's what he's talking about. Even if you haven't watched the other movies, he's talked about Nat like 2 or 3 times every episode of this show. Yeah. We don't need that super duper. We don't need that expository dialogue. Although this is not nearly as expository as the dialogue in something else that we may have watched this week for our podcast.
Sure.
Yes. Tune in tomorrow. I forget that Clint was kind of mishandled too.
Yeah.
Our two mortals in the Avengers. It feels like we're coming back at the end and really trying to fluff it up and be like, so sorry, but look at the dynamics here.
You love them as much as you love Robert Downey Jr. in his role.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously ScarJo kind of was the billboard of that because of getting her own movie and the actual newsworthy relationship that she was having with Marvel Studios at the time.
You saw she's back, right? They kissed and made up. She's back on board with Marvel.
Did they really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not see that.
Yeah. She's back on board with Marvel. She's still executive producing the Tower of Terror movie for Disney. And then she's involved in an undisclosed Marvel project. So
fun. Well,
maybe it's a Black Widow 2 with FloPugh.
Well,
I think it's a producer role. I don't think she's acting anymore as Natasha.
Speaking of FloPugh, about time, huh?
About time.
Can I say something spicy? I'm gonna say something spicy.
Say it.
I hated that entire sequence for one simple reason. They shot this and then played it back at like 130% speed rather than 100% speed.
Oh, yeah.
It was like they listened to us talk in the first episode about how bad the choreography was. And they said, well, you know what would make it better? If it looked like they were moving faster. But all of the choreography right here at the end, this entire end sequence from whenever, basically once Maya shows up and then once Night Monkey Yelena shows up, our footage is being played back at like 130, 150% speed. Where it like...
I didn't even catch that.
It's almost Benny Hill. And it's like, what are we doing here? Why are
they
you doing
my
that?
untrained eye.
Yeah, I think it looks horrible.
They're so fast.
That honestly might be a super dump for the series for me. It looks terrible.
Wow.
Another contender for super pump for the series for me is the callback. Is we have Kate with a chance to shoot Yelena and chooses not to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, so this is maybe they're going to have a buddy relationship, which would be the hope. I don't think
I want the two of them to bond so badly. I want this?
I don't think it feels too... I was afraid it was going to feel repetitive. It was like, well, when you take on the mantle of Black Widow or Hawkeye, you have to be friends with the other person
There's
taking
gonna
the
be a
mantle
Black
of that
Widow.
character.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't
if you
know.
give a
I
mouse
think
a
it makes
cookie.
sense. Exactly. And they've done
give
so
a
much.
Hawkeye a bow,
she's going to want a Black Widow to go with it. Yeah.
We talked about how unfair, like ultimately how Black Widow was a, thank you essentially to ScarJo. Let's make this about ScarJo, but it ended up being about Florence Pugh, about Yelena.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's bittersweet because I think we could have had, because Scarlett Johansson and Jeremy Renner are phenomenal actors. And we could have had so much chance to have this much of a relationship building process before we threw them into the Avengers together. And we're absolutely going to get that with Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld.
Yep.
And I'm just watching their connection and I'm like, man, it's a long play, but it's going to really pay off, I think, eventually. We just didn't get to have that.
Feel like you're mispronouncing Haley Steinfeld's name every single time you say it?
Because it's got that T in there?
Yeah.
You know how I feel about every name. So
yeah,
yes,
that's
the
true.
answer is yes.
So I guess, Doge, do you feel like you're mispronouncing Haley Steinfeld's name every time you say it?
I intentionally avoid it because I actually don't know if y'all are saying it correctly.
Is that why you just call her Hales all the time? You're just like, and Hales is...
That's why I call her Kate Bishop.
That's
why I call her Maddie Ross from True Grit exclusively.
I call her that girl that was in Pitch Perfect that one time.
Jess had never seen anything else that Haley Steinfeld was in. Literally the first shot of this show, which was her face, Jess goes, "Why is she in this from Pitch Perfect?" And I was like, hang on though.
Pause it. Like, hey, let's talk about this.
I'm going to need
over
you
to the
to get on
whiteboard
board
in your living room
right now. Yeah, I mean, it's always shocking when somebody who normally does one thing does a different thing, like how we normally talk and don't make money.
Yeah. What if, hang on. I have an idea. What if we switched it? What if we switched it up
and constantly make money?
If we don't talk and make some money, what if we did that?
Ad break.
I'm going to go let my dog in.
Who?
'Tis the season for those irresistible ginger thins, cozy blankets for cuddling by the fire, and making home warm and welcoming. For one-stop holiday shopping, visit your local IKEA or ikea-usa.com/holiday.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.
I watched this episode with headphones on. I had to watch it on my laptop.
Just like Chris Nolan intended.
Jeremy Renner's voice filled my entire brain.
Yeah.
Something about his voice is like, he's like, and can't think you don't understand this, that. Like, it's just like
I don't think it's translated.
From The
like
Princess
so.
Bride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody with a peanut? Haley Steinfeld obviously is on a media junket because I think she's going to be, and media junket, by the way, is like when you go around and tour and talk about your movie
Yeah.
and all your projects. Haley's got a chance to just nonstop be on those.
To just
probably
always
for
be
the
on
next,
them.
like, yeah, because she's got in the Spider-Verse, right? And we could talk a little bit about the Spider-Verse
Across the Spider-Verse. Part
She's
1, by the way.
she's-
Yeah.
Big surprise there.
That's super fun. She's in that. Obviously, she's in Hawkeye. So she's this girl is set for the next 20 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
10
I'd say.
years. I think she's
Yeah.
going to be doing this for a really long time. But she was on Jimmy Fallon the other night. I don't know if y'all saw this.
No.
And Jimmy does this thing every now and then where he'll try and just get the juicy goss out of you about like spoilers and things like that. And obviously there's the dynamic of her being on the show before the current show that she's in has a finale. And Marvel obviously has twists and surprises. And so Jimmy was kind of like, so you were in Into the Spider-Verse. That's pretty cool. It's like, yeah. He's like, No Way Home will be coming out pretty soon. It's in Hawkeye's in New York. Be kind of cool if Spider-Man showed up in the last episode of Hawkeye, huh? And she just kept her cool. Was like, yeah, I think that'd be great. That'd be awesome. And like he just kept trying to like pull stuff from her. And so it's something that we always talk about. But is that possible? Do you think that we could get some Spidey? Not just talking about him.
I
think if you're going to do it.
I would be sort of surprised.
Yeah, I would too.
But maybe we could see the big portal vortex of all the other Spider-Men who have ever Spider-Maned coming into New York. See that off in the distance.
Yeah, I kind of don't want it. I think this still needs to be very much about
Miles.
Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, about Miles.
Yeah.
And only Miles.
I don't
did
think
you
I
see
wanna-
her almost ruin, I assume, the Young Avengers?
Oh, no.
See, I
Her
have
on
such
stage. Her on stage, and somebody asked her a question about Young Avengers, and she like looked at Kevin Feige for permission to say something, and he looked at her and he goes, she just turned around, she's like, no.
Jordan shook his head with a wild fury in his eyes.
That's
He shook
why
his
I made
head
a sound,
to imitate Kevin Feige's nonverbals. Speaking of real world adventures that are happening in our reality that might be affecting the MCU reality, do we want to pop over to my theory nook just briefly?
Oh,
Sure. A quick
I
trip.
love
Did you
the
I
guys?
theory
don't
nook.
feel like there's this such thing as a quick trip to your theory.
Did you guys
Yeah, we
get your
only have
permission
about
slip
12
signed?
minutes left, so hopefully that's enough.
I need to see permission
I
slips
did.
before we go. Okay, you get it.
I
You
did.
did. Jordan, permission
Yeah.
slip.
I turned 18 in the early fall, so I actually don't have
Gotcha.
to have permission slips from my mom
Okay.
anymore.
Cool. That's great. So you're going to drive the bus for us.
Well, I mean, you have to be 25.
In a
I'll do it.
in a press junket that happened earlier this week. I think it was earlier this week, maybe late last week. Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal were talking about the new Spider-Man coming out. And Amy accidentally let it slip that Charlie Cox is sort of back as Daredevil in the MCU for real. Which prompted Feige to make a for real announcement. Hey, Daredevil's back in the MCU and it's Charlie Cox. That's been confirmed earlier this week.
Wow.
Deborah Ann Wool Steinfeld, who plays Karen in the show, posted on Twitter, so excited to be back working with all of my Daredevil friends again. Vincent D'Onofrio retweeted that. And so I am almost suspecting that we might get a mini Daredevil reunion in the finale of this show. Because we do keep talking about Wilson Fisk. We do keep talking about he's laundering money for the big man. That's defo the Kingpin. That's definitely Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk. But I think we might get
Filson Whisk.
We might get a Wilson Fisk and then a Foggy and Karen reunion in the finale of this show and save Matt Murdock for Spider-Man No Way Home. And that's why Haley's like, am I allowed to talk about how our show has some of the same folks that are friends with the folks that are in No Way Home? And Feige's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
That's my theory. That was a quick trip. That was a quick trip to the theory nook.
That was a quick trip. And I don't know if it's the last time it was made clear our opinions on Daredevil on that series. So I think it's worth saying, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a big
I really
Daredevil
enjoyed
fan.
It's great.
I think it needed to still be Charlie Cox. I think he was
for sure
so good for the role.
I would love a suit improvement. I never quite got on board.
Oh,
with
I
the
like
suit.
it. I liked it a lot. The final red one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
never
I liked
quite
it.
got there for me.
I really liked it. I thought it was cool.
What happens to your world if it is Daredevil, but it's Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck, shattered. Completely shattered.
Wait, hang on. Do you mean Bowser?
Inconsolable.
Do you mean the Bowser of acting, Carter?
Oh,
The
yes. I
Bowser
forgot I had
of
compared him to Bowser. He's good for one thing.
Steals all my
He's
stars.
okay for that. A little bit more about No Way Home. These projections, I looked this up. So on our Discord channel, on that highest Patreon tier, we had a chunky, David, who reached out and said there were projections of $650 million opening for No Way Home.
Of ticket pre-sales, right?
Yeah.
That's not
And
even counting the monsters who are going to show up to their showing and be like, I would like to buy 3 tickets right here at the door, please.
I know. And I looked this up, and it's not, I won't say all but confirmed, but there's multiple sources that are saying it looks like it's projecting to be about that. I think it's because this is an IMAX thing. It's not going to be simultaneously released on any streaming platform. And I've got to say, during this holiday season, and I might have mentioned this on these Hawkeye episodes already, but I see all the Christmas lights and stuff, and then I think about the ones in my own neighborhood, and it felt like earlier and at a more intense amount, the world is getting ready for Christmas.
Yeah.
Do y'all's neighborhoods have more lights than normal?
Yes. Yeah.
This is
And
my
that's not
first
even
year
in
living here, but I
comparison
assume so.
to the blackout that felt like was the last 2 years, especially 2020. But I feel like even though COVID still exists and now we have X-Men versions of COVID, I feel like people are just ready.
The Wolverine one.
Yeah. I feel like people are relieved and ready, and I feel like people are like, you know what? It's starting to feel a little bit more like normal. And
It's
they're making
beginning
up
to
for all the
feel a
time
lot
that they
like
lost.
normal.
So I'm not surprised that No Way Home is going to be that punch that just happens to be like, we're all, like people are coming back to the theaters.
This is a long-winded way of saying if you're playing box office ball along with us at home and you don't have this movie, thanks for playing.
That's
It was
a big
good year.
oops.
Appreciate you.
Guys, I really hope my all-time favorite actor of all time, Gloria Bishop, does not get cut from this movie in her role as homeless person at Soup Kitchen.
Dude, well, I am going to be looking for her.
They did cut. You saw they did. Tom Holland's brother, Harry, had some scenes in this, and they cut all of them.
No.
Yeah.
As long as Ned's in the movie, I'm safe. So
We'll talk about Ned tomorrow. I promise that.
Anything else to mention? What are we anticipating episode 5? What do we think is starting to happen here?
honestly don't know. I think if I had to take a swang at it, it's going to be a fight on 2 fronts, working to convince Echo to fight against her uncle.
Yeah.
And working to convince Yelena to lay off while we finish up some important work.
I am confident the episode's going to end with Clint once again captured by the tracksuit mafia. But this time Uncle comes in to finish it himself. One of our closing moments are going to be Kate trying to go rescue him, and then Vincent D'Onofrio steps out of the shadows.
Ooh.
And then we cut to black.
That'd be amazing. I also think that there's a good chance our whole show basically ends with a Christmas morning doorbell as a beat up Clint, Yelena, Echo, and Kate Bishop. all
Everybody.
walk in.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, dude. Why not?
Hawkeye season, I'm going to call it season 1 because this show very much feels like there will be another season of it, yeah? Do we just feel like
Would that be
Hawkeye's a
Valentine's
one-off?
Day? What holiday would it
Oh,
be?
that would be really fun if they were
That would be
all
cool.
holidays.
Yeah, that actually would be super fun.
Kind of like Stranger Things?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that would be a blast. And one more conversation before we wrap up on episode 4. Sometimes we use the term that it feels like a movie is moving at a slow pace. There's movies that a lot of us love. Sometimes they're the ones that are more dramatic, those Angelica Film Center movies that were like, hey, Nomadland's great, but it's slow. You know, you have to kind of tell people,
Prep
like,
people
hey,
for it.
Get used to that. Hawkeye feels a little bit like an outlier in terms of its slowness. And maybe it is just the chemistry and the amount of screen time that we get between Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner. But I would say this is a pretty slow pace at times. I would imagine for every episode that we have that's about 35 to 40 minutes long, we almost have 10 minutes. So maybe like 25% of the show, 40% of the show has been kind of slow, but I kind of want a different word for it. Is there another word for a good slow?
I think it's
Or is
interesting.
slow considered negative in
I mean,
movies?
we could say
TV?
methodical. We could say intentional, but I think it's interesting because the overall story of the show is incredibly slow.
Yeah.
But that's
Well, it's
kind
small.
of
It's a small scale story, actually.
yeah. I think this
The amount of
the
days that
pace
we
of
have.
the pace of the story itself is disguised by how many we get. At least one action set piece per episode. You know, and so the minute-to-minute stuff does feel quick, but the overall story, yeah.
I think what we're finding with these Marvel shows is the first episode or two, lengthwise, just length of time-wise, is writing a check that the middle of the show can't cash. Like we keep getting these like hour, 55-minute premieres, and then the next couple episodes, it's like, there's 40 minutes, but there's 6 minutes of credits, so it's really like 34 minutes.
Yeah. That's following in the grand tradition of The Mandalorian season 1 or 2. What was it, season 1 or 2 that had like a 29-minute episode? Are you kidding me? Yeah.
And then had one that was like over an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I guess they make up for it, but it still made me mad. I don't like it.
Yeah, we don't have a minutes count just yet for Hawkeye episode 5. But there's only 2 left. So we've got one releasing on the 15th of December and then one on the 22nd of December.
We have also reached the end. We are now past where reviewers got pre-screeners. So nobody knows what's happening next.
That's why I'm confident Uncle is showing up next episode.
Yeah, very interesting.
Because we don't give him the spoilies.
Yeah, I dig it. To end this episode, I'd love to have your name. Let's try that this time.
Oh.
So make sure people know who you are.
It's a good idea.
And I'd love to have your name. And I want you to, because I think episode 1 is when I'm like, I think Clint's going to die. I don't think Clint's going to die. I do think he's going to get to go home and be with his family for Christmas. And I think we're actually going to get to see them sit down and eat together, that wonderful tradition of the holidays. I want you to tell me, after you give me your name, what are they going to be eating? What are they going to be eating? I'm Carter, and they're going to have some roasted hawk.
Oh, no.
It's going to be tough to tell. But there'll be somebody out there
just look like tiny chicken.
Sounds gamey.
Probably pretty gamey.
Pretty sure hawks are bigger than chickens.
Really?
They're not fatter, though.
No, but I do think they're like pretty significantly larger.
Sure, but like a hawk drumstick would be lean because it's not as dummy thick as a chicken.
Yeah.
That's chicken with 2 C's. Cluck.
Thicken.
Cluck.
Thicken.
Chicken already has 2 C's.
It's a thicken.
There's 4 C's.
Thicken nuggets.
Ooh.
Thicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets.
I'm Doge, and Hawkeye's beautiful wife, Velma from Scooby-Doo, will prepare for him to be waiting when he arrives at the doorstep, battered and broken. She will get turkey wishbones and then across the back of them put a little string of angel hair pasta and then 1 green bean, and she'll make little bows for him to eat. But
cute.
That would suck, actually. He doesn't have to eat the wish. It doesn't have to eat the wishbone.
And 1 pasta.
So she would say, "Here's your bow," and it's 1 green bean and 1 noodle.
And then that's what he would be like. You always do this, Laura. Laura, it's Christmas. You always do this. I'm hungry.
She makes him like a white Russian, and he has a flashback again to losing Natasha.
My best friend was white and Russian.
I remember my favorite white Russian. Well, my name's Jordan, and it's obvious. It's pizza. And
Lucky
then
the pizza
dog's
dog.
gonna come in and steal a slice, and everybody's gonna go, "Ah!" And then it's gonna be over.
Pizza dog.
Tis the season for those irresistible ginger thins, cozy blankets for cuddling by the fire, and making home warm and welcoming. For one-stop holiday shopping, visit your local IKEA or ikea-usa.com/holiday.
Holidays are here, and so is fashionable fitness. Gift yourself a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G, a phone that folds in half to literally stand on its own. Pair it with the Galaxy Watch 4 for ultimate wellness and wow factor. Check health stats, flex personal records. Over 90 activities can be tracked, like biking, swimming, golfing, and more. Invest in yourself with tech made to crush goals. Holidays open up with Galaxy. Shop it all at Samsung.com. 5G connection and availability may vary. Check with carrier. Products sold separately.